Welcome to Parallel Leaders. Every week, we come alongside you and focus on 8 growth points to address the obstacles holding you back. Not only do you need to grow as a leader, but your team, your systems, your numbers, your finances, the expectations, the facilities, and your culture must grow. If you target and evaluate your organization, leadership, or department under the microscope of these 8 growth points, you will optimize your effectiveness as a leader. And today's podcast is all about equipping you with the tools and conversations you need to move forward. So let's go.
All right, so first teaching I want to talk about, and Heidi and I have been discussing, topics for parallel leaders and what we're going to teach and all the rest. And so today I'm going to teach on integrity in the workplace, or as volunteers, integrity and work ethic, if that's all right. So and you're going to be very shocked by what I bring for work ethic, just letting you know. But integrity is, is all about, and what does integrity have to do with church volunteering? I mean, integrity, stating the obvious, we want to do what we say and be who we say we are. That's important. But integrity is a vital key to creating organizational energy. And here's why. I just want to go through this fairly quickly. Number one in your notes, how to create organizational energy, is integrity builds trust in an organization. Duh. That's not rocket science, but I want you to see something. Okay? Integrity builds trust in an organization. Integrity at work or as volunteers is more than honesty and respect. If an organization has a true culture of integrity, that means the staff, the volunteers, take their commitment seriously, are proactive when they don't understand their responsibilities, and ultimately are accountable for the results. Okay, let me say that again. Integrity is more, it's more than just, it's more than just honesty and respect. Integrity means that you're going to take ownership of your responsibility and be proactive if you don't understand what your responsibility is. Well, nobody told me that, so nobody told me what I'm supposed to do. If you don't know, if you're unsure, integrity is you make sure you're sure, right? And asking questions, being open to ask questions, that builds integrity. Integrity is being proactive if you don't understand responsibility, and ultimately, integrity is also being willing to be held accountable for the results. Okay, and accountability is something that volunteer organizations like churches sometimes struggle with. Let's just be honest, right? Because we can't. How do we hold a volunteer accountable? How do we? They're volunteers. They might just walk away. They might, but if there's no accountability, there's no safety. There's no integrity. And so accountability is huge as far as culture and behaviors and all the rest of it. So accountability is not only just being held accountable, being willing to be held accountable. Accountability is all about holding yourself accountable, right? And to a standard that has been established in the organization. So if you have integrity builds trust in an organization. As a result, that trust takes us to step 2. Okay, step 2 is building trust unlocks creativity. Okay, so integrity builds trust. Trust that is built unlocks creativity. Okay, this is why it works. Trust is the currency of all relationships. We talked a little bit about that in the last series, right? About access and responsibility, and that's a matter of trust. Because trust is the currency of all relationships. The more trust there is in a relationship, the more currency you have. Let's just be, if we just say currency, trust is the currency of all relationships. If we just say, okay, I've got a pocket full of change. If I got a pocket full of change and I need to draw on that, or I need to pay something, all the rest of it, I can pay out if I have a pocket full. If it's my last one, right, it's gonna deplete it. If you are in your last currency of trust, okay, you might have more pressure, more feeling, more, you don't have much more to give in the relationship, and the relationship is eventually he's going to go broke. Is this true? So a payout for trust, what I'm saying is if you are like, let's just put it this way. If you say, I can't show up this morning, right? I can't show up this morning to volunteer at and it's last minute and all those things. If you've built a currency of trust where you've got a pocket full of change and you're drawing on that by not showing up when you've been scheduled and all the rest of it, you have much more to give, and there's much more leniency if you have extra currency. If this has become a habit or it becomes more and more, you keep drawing out. Eventually, there's no more change to give. Eventually, the relationship's broke. Does this make sense? So trust as the currency, okay, is built on integrity. Trust is the currency of all relationships. When there's distrust, we're talking about when we discuss trust, we are talking about being able to have a sense of security and confidence when dealing with somebody. That's what it's like. We need to have a sense of security and confidence when dealing with somebody. And having, trust is about having the ability to predict that someone will act in a specific way and be dependable. Okay, so trust is having the ability to predict how someone's going to act, or let's just be honest, react in a situation that is dependable. Okay? And earning a level of credibility that has been built up over time. Right? So it's changing. If you earn trust, you're responsible, you build up currency that builds up over time. That's next levels of trust. All right, so in your notes, trust is the currency of all relationships. So as leaders, how do we, as leaders, affect trust? Okay, and we're hearing amazing testimonies and stories of people that are coming in, and after one experience, Pastor Ralph was saying, one experience on a college thing, or after a currency of being built up with a youth who wants nothing to do with God, all of a sudden, through time, trust was built to the place where they're saying, okay, now you can have access to my heart, is basically what's happening, right? Which is a big, big deal. But how, as leaders, do we cultivate through integrity? How do we, as leaders, cultivate trust to open up creativity? Letter A is you have to lead by example, obviously. Okay, so the higher up you are in an organization, okay, the more important it is to set an example. So as volunteers, this is our team day. This is our team. So we're leaders in the organization. And your responsibility, it's more important for you. There's higher expectations on leaders, right? To be personal, authentic, present. You have to lead by example. B, okay, is trust starts with the leader and then carries over to the relationships within the team. Trust starts with the leader, then carries over to the relationships within the team. This is common knowledge. Like, some of this is like, duh, but I want you to think through this. Sometimes you're wondering, why have I been looked over, or why haven't I been chosen, or how come I didn't get that opportunity? And sometimes it's not that you lack the gifts or the skill set or whatever. Sometimes it's just that you haven't the track record or the currency of trust to be able to put the demand of leadership on you yet. That's it. And you know how Jesus said it? Jesus said, be faithful in little things, and you'll be given much. What is that about? That's about establishing currency. So, this is stuff that's like, well, yes, that's common knowledge, sort of, except for if we don't give our best, integrity, our dependability, if we don't do that until we have the title, well, what's my title? And we're waiting for a title or a leadership position before that's too much pressure, and something's going to break, and it's probably going to be you. Honestly, because you have to have the currency built up as a leader in order to earn the trust. Does that make sense? John Maxwell says it this way, that trust is, there's levels of leadership, and that title is the lowest, position is the lowest level of leadership possible. So 12 years ago, when I arrived at this church, they gave me the title pastor, but I knew that that was my title only, and that I wasn't going to be the pastor or the leader of the church, and not for a season. That wasn't going to be me. Somebody was going to pastor the church, and so what am I going to do? I'm going to pastor through people until I have the credibility or the currency built up, right? To be able to then begin pastoring myself. Does that make sense? Okay? So trust, building trust, letter C, is crucial for the longevity of the organization. And it allows everyone to use their natural instincts. What do I mean by natural instincts? Well, let's launch into number 3. Unlocking creativity creates momentum. Okay, so building trust unlocks creativity. Unlocking creativity builds momentum. Okay, let's break down creativity for us. And the tendency is to lead with intuition, but trust unlocks that intuition. Okay, and intuition and creativity are one and the same. Okay, and I'm hoping I'm not talking over our heads. We're going to be able to see this and understand this and unlock this in some way. We need integrity to build trust, to unlock creativity. It unlocks intuition, which allows us to not have to go and ask, well, how would we handle this and what would we do here? It allows us to go, well, we know what to do. We sense what to do. We can make a shift here. We can do that because we have enough trust to unlock intuition, which is all within creativity. Many of us, we know how we can research and have head knowledge, but ultimately, head knowledge will only get you so far. You need to have intuition or a gut feeling, right? And this is where the Holy Spirit leads, by the way. Okay, so the tendency to lead with intuition, but trust is what unlocks intuition. Okay, so A, when teams have trust, it unlocks creative thinking because people feel safe to share their ideas. Right? Okay, B, trust creates collective collaboration in order to maximize ideas and intuition. Okay, trust creates collective collaboration. And that's ultimately what we want. Okay, and we want to value the best idea. The best idea wins, right? That's what we want. We want collaboration, not whose idea, the best idea. Right? Because the best idea, whose idea is going to be that person, you're going to tap the end of your own creativity as the leader, even on your team, and going, if it's all the ideas are your ideas, you're going to reach a cap. But if you have collaboration, there's going to be an untethered potential of what you're going to be able to do because the best idea wins. So trust creates collective collaboration in order to maximize ideas and intuition. C, intuition teaches us to use our natural instinct to protect the possibilities rather than simply accepting the probabilities. Amen. Intuition teaches us to use our natural instinct to protect the possibilities. That's what creativity is all about. It's seeing the possibilities, what could be possible, rather than simply accepting the probabilities. What this means is that sometimes we go, well, this is probably going to happen, and this is going to do this. And if we have trust or mistrust, all of our focus is going to be on the probabilities of how someone's going to let us down, or how this is going to be a limit, or how this isn't going to work, or how I've never seen this happen, and all the rest of it. And because all of that, when we start saying those things, well, that's not going to happen. They're not likely going to do that. What we're speaking is probabilities based on mistrust. And if we can unlock trust, then now we're focusing on the possibilities, not the probabilities. Does that make sense? Okay, so then we all of a sudden now we have integrity. This means that we're going to be dependable. We're going to show up when we say we show up. We're going to have integrity. We're depositing with integrity. We're depositing currency of trust. When we have trust, that unlocks creativity. We have creativity. Okay, that unlocks intuition and creates momentum. Okay, and then letter D, it creates momentum and gets things moving. This is when we have exponential stuff moving. Come on, which we just changed the entire schedule because we have so much momentum in the last month. And come on, do you think like all of a sudden we're seeing the gaining wheel of trust, right? Which is unlocking creativity, which is unlocking momentum. You see, all of a sudden it's just like whoa. Do we see this? Okay, so this is something. The reason I'm teaching this is not because I'm trying to correct something. The reason I'm teaching this is because I'm trying to capture what's happening so that we can see, so we can repeat this, keep this going. Does that make sense? We can put language to it and going, oh, that's why. Okay. And this is why we need to hold certain teams accountable. This is why we need to, challenge sometimes and saying, no, because this affects momentum. This creates integrity. This is all about building trust. This is all about, okay. Number 4 is consistent momentum establishes belief. Okay, consistent momentum establishes belief. Belief is the rational side of energy. Okay, so letter A, belief brings in the facts and the evidence, which enables people to dream bigger because they see what has been proven. Isn't that true? B, success breeds success. Momentum is your best friend or your worst enemy. It's your best friend when it's going the right direction. It's your worst enemy and hardest thing to change if it's going the wrong way. Right? So success breeds success, which again, this is creating the energy. C, belief allows people to problem solve quicker. I like this. Right? Belief allows people to problem solve quicker, communicate better, and care more about one another and the output of the organization. Now, what does that mean? We can problem solve. This is one thing. When you get belief, like, how many of you believe, not just like, but believe in this vision now? Like, and here's what I mean. You believe it to the core of it going, can you imagine, like, how many of you grew up in church like me? Yeah, I did. How many, I came from a bunch of different, very strict, but anyway. How many of you, in growing up in church, you got a taste of this? How many of you want to go back to what you grew up in? I mean, I'm like, no. Not gonna happen, right? What is that? There's a shift in belief and going, you got a taste of something because all of a sudden you're like, wait, right? And all of a sudden that shifts from what I like to what I believe. All right. D, belief further reignites the alignment, creates a greater confidence, and sets the energy in motion. Okay? Belief reignites the alignment, creates a greater confidence, and sets the energy in motion. What I love is that the energy you feel in here and the stories that we're telling in here and all of this that's going on, what I love is that it's not just from me down or from just the board down. Like this is Every campus, everywhere, celebrating, moving, and pushing and believing, and all of a sudden the momentum and the energy, when all of us get it, ooh, watch out.
Thank you for listening to the Parallel Leaders podcast. If you're looking for additional resources, tools, and conversations to move your organization forward and capture the hearts of your community, check out parallelleaders.com. And make sure to subscribe to receive each new episode as it's released. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Parallel Leaders. We'll see you next time.